think the country has really taken the next leap in its economy. Up to 2019, things were slowing down, but in the last 2 years, actually, in spite of the pandemic, and now post-pandemic, we are seeing a huge revival. One of the major drivers for that have been the country's focus or the government's focus on spending in capital expenditure on infrastructure. And I do believe that that is the driver for growth in the country. Once you get the government spending in public sector, that is when industry will then follow, because that has a knock-on effect. With an increase in spending by the government, roads, highways, airports, ports, railways, and so on, energy, that feeds a whole lot of companies downstream. And I think that is what is happening. It has been a consistent approach. Last year, the government put a focus on public spending in infrastructure. This year's budget announced it as well. So, and we see real traction on the ground. So I do believe that we are now on a curve up. Industry is also beginning to spend. Demands in the country are growing. Look at the spend in semiconductors, in battery storage, in e-mobility. These are new age things, announcements in hydrogen. These are new age technologies coming out. India is at the forefront of that. And I do believe we are now at the cusp of a growth. Of course, we've got to wait and see how the global cues impact all that. But as we see things today, I'm hugely optimistic about India's economy.
Now, you had acknowledged as well that there were execution challenges, and that was largely owing to, as you mentioned, delay in the supply of semiconductor components. Have things changed now? Has some of those execution challenges been lifted?
Unfortunately not. I think semiconductor challenges will follow us for some time to come. Logistic costs continue to go up. Timelines continue to be strained on logistics, deliveries. Inflation is happening around the world. We cannot be insulated against that. This could lead and will lead to interest rate increases. And really the challenge is going to be, when will the tipping point come? Growth in interest rate or increase in interest rates versus growth. And right now it is managing inflation, and that means managing the interest rate. So it's a complex equation. We are not insulated from the rest of the world here in the country. But again, as I see it today, based on today's scenario, we have a reasonably good visibility of the pipeline moving forward, and I'm still cautiously optimistic.
Okay, but you said reasonably good pipeline, and I'm going to pick up on that because Siemens has witnessed fairly robust order inflow when it comes to base size, medium size orders in the first half. Has that been supplemented by large size orders? What is it looking like in terms of the pipeline?
So yes, it has. The simple answer is we have had a growth in our base business, but we have also seen a large number of tenders coming out for larger values, much larger than in the past. And again, a lot of them come from the government, but a lot of them are also coming from the private sector in the new capacities that they are planning to set up. So the simple answer is yes, the volume sizes of inquiries has increased, and we've got to be competitive, of course, to go out and get them.
And you've also been very vocal when it comes to sustainability and digitalization. How are these two factors going to really drive market share gains, and what are the kind of order prospects as well that you're seeing when it comes to smart infra?
Yeah, so let me talk about sustainability and our program around sustainability. So Siemens launched globally the degree program, and D for decarbonization, ethics, resource availability, equity, employability, all forming part of the central part of our sustainability program. Here in India, we are replicating all of that here. decarbonization is going to be a huge, and is currently a huge issue for the country in general. The government is very, very serious about the transition to renewables. I think we don't need to talk about the immense amount of work that is being done in the renewable space. But companies also are now very seriously looking at how they can decarbonize their own products, supplies, and supply chains. And this is where we can come in. Where we can come in, also where digitalization helps. Energy efficiency is a huge part of decarbonization. Can our customers use less energy to produce more? And this is one area that we are at the center of. We do have technologies, including digital technologies, to manage energy efficiency. We're looking at waste heat recovery as well in terms of cement plants and other plants of that kind. And these are kind of technologies that are available in water efficiency, in coal efficiency, in energy efficiency, in logistic efficiencies, where all these contribute to sustainability over a period of time. And our challenge really here is, and this is where we are great at providing solutions to our customers, to make them more sustainable in their supply chains and their customers as well.
I want to understand how Siemens is going to focus on keeping margins stable. You've spoken about big ticket projects as well coming in. How are you going to manage profitability and keeping margins stable in light of even, you spoke of global worries, the inflationary scenario as well. How is that impacting the company?
So absolutely. I have said for over 10 years now that we will grow, but we will grow profitably. And the growth will come, but not at the cost of the profitability and not at the cost of cash. And if you look at our performance over the last couple of years, we have grown in the top line, but we have also grown on the bottom line. And this is really the challenge. We are looking at scenarios of cost increases, logistic cost increases, resource cost increases all over the place. And our real challenge is, how can we really manage the supply chain costs? You can't manage commodities, but there are hedging possibilities over there. So how can we really address all these cost increases by taking the right measures in advance, which is what we are doing. And if you look at our last results, we've been pretty solid on the bottom line. That will continue to remain our focus. We will grow, but we will grow profitably.
And what about margins?
The margins will continue to be where they are or improve further. That is our focus.
Despite, the inflationary environment, etc.
That is going to be our endeavor. That is going to be our endeavor. That's what we are looking out for. There are certain things within our control and a lot which is not within our control, but we are doing the best we can at this moment. Digitalization plays a central role in that, and we are using digitalization to make ourselves even more efficient.
Now, given the strong liquidity at hand, and this was also mentioned in the recent conference call, is that it's over 5,000 crores plus, and the focus is going to be on capital allocation. Can you elaborate further?
Absolutely. So we want to grow our business, but we've got to ensure that we do it intelligently, that we use the resources, the limited resources that we have, most efficiently. So we will look at inorganic growth. We will look at expansion in capacities, but we will put the money invest the money only where we believe there is the maximum bang for the buck.
Now, there has been a slowdown in some of the key infrastructure verticals like T&D, transportation, hydrocarbon. Is that going to be a concern in terms of slowing down the overall business growth, or that's not a worry at the point?
I do not see a major slowdown in the areas that you mentioned, to be honest. As you go in for renewables, the grid is going to become much more unstable. And there will be a need to stabilize the transmission network. There is already a huge need to modernize and upgrade the distribution network. Mobility, be it metros, be it freight trains, be it passenger trains, is going to be a huge growth area in this country, and the railways is really focusing on that. So these are segments that I believe will actually grow, and these are segments that we have the competency and the capability to address, and we will be at the forefront of all these segments.